Whenever hiking through rattlesnake-infested desert, it's absolutely vital to wear appropriate footwear.
That smells so bad.
What's the plan, Mike?
We're gonna get our stuff packed, maybe have a little bit of food, and then hike up there.
So we're back at Smith Rock for a second day of landscape photography, and today the reason why we've come back is because the forecast is predicting a thunderstorm during sunset, and then just after sunset it's going to clear up completely, and that means we can get epic Milky Way. Are you as excited about hiking up that entire ridgeline as I am?
I'm so excited right now.
Yeah, you're really up for this?
I'm gonna bring 4 cameras and 3 tripods, and I'm gonna bring my star tracker, and my slider.
Yeah, slider.
And I'm gonna bring my laptop in case we want to watch movies up there.
Barbecue?
We should bring a barbecue. Bring camping chairs so that we have a place to sit up there. And we should can we bring our cars?
Wouldn't that be wonderful? It's 30 degrees Celsius in the shade. So if there's a break in the clouds, even though we're about 3 hours from sunset, would you say, if there's a break in the clouds, even that last hour, it could get quite hot, could get back up to 36. So water is absolutely vital. In terms of gear, let me show you what I've got. So I've simplified my camera bag. I've got my camera with a 16-35, and that's what I'm going to need for this astrophotography tutorial. I've brought along the 55, which is a 1.8, so that's really good as well. And there's the A6000, just for doing a little time lapse if I can be bothered with that. So I'll bring the Gorilla Pod, maybe just set it up on a rock. And then this little compartment here is for my food and my snacks. And of course, the most important part of the food section is this bar of chocolate here, which I'm hoping Mike hasn't heard me talk about, because I just don't want to share it. So this is where the trail starts. We go down into the valley there, and I don't know if you can see on the screen, but there's a little trail that winds its way up around the mountain, the other side, and then the goal is to be right at the top of there, somewhere on this plateau. Into the heat of the valley we descend, being careful to watch where we tread, although with a landscape like this, all we wanted to do was just gawk at that amazing scenery. It was hot. That gloomy cloud cover gave us some much needed protection against the sun, and we knew that this nice little downhill section would soon transform into a grueling uphill slog. Still, it's nice to share the trail with a buddy and enjoy some non-competitive companionship to keep one another motivated. Okay, so I may have chickened out of wearing my usual appropriate footwear, but at least I was representing my British schoolboy heritage by wearing shorts. So now the fun part of the hike is over, and we've actually hit the part where you can clearly tell why it was called Misery Ridge. Though, to be honest, as Michael just said, without backpacks, if you were just doing a hike with a bottle of water, it's really not that bad. Oh god, talking and hiking at the same time is giving me phasma. If you're wondering what phasma is, it's fat man's asthma. Once we got a little higher, we enjoyed some lovely, cool breezes and some spectacular views, but I got the feeling that Michael wasn't enjoying the hike as much as I was. Oh, almost at the top. I can feel an epic shot.
Hey Gavin, I'm doing good. You know what, I know that you want to go to that viewpoint up there, but man, I think this might be better right here.
That sounds like absolute bollocks. I learned that Michael's pace definitely improved if I kept him on camera.
Such a nice day for a climb, isn't it?
Almost at the top, we've reached this plateau. Just have a look at this business. Look at this tree, not impressive. I'm guessing some kind of juniper, but if I've got that wrong and you know what it is, post a comment, let me know. Okay, onwards.
The view from the plateau was getting better with every single step, although it's definitely a place where you should watch where you step. So if you suffer from vertigo, I think you should look away now. No, or maybe now, yeah. There you go. Oh God.
I have found a shot, a composition that is absolutely, I think it's fairly glorious. The only problem is that my camera or my tripod is 1 centimetre from, I don't know, maybe a 400-foot drop. Have a look at this. It's all right though. I don't think my mother watches these videos. Do you? Oh God, I'm sorry, Mum. No, it's all CGI.
Here's my first shot of the day from that precarious cliff edge, and I love how those pillars of rock glow in that warm light from the setting sun. I also love the river that gently meanders around the base of Smith Rock. It kind of reminds me of a moat around a British castle.
This is the spot that we were aiming to get, because what we love here, and I don't know if you can see it in the shot, is this lovely curve in the river. I mean, I'll explain my composition properly in a minute, but because the light is ever changing, I don't want to miss this shot, so I'm putting more importance on getting the shot rather than talking to you guys, but I'm sure you'll understand that.
Hey.
Oh, what was that, Mr. Shane Bloom?
They want to see everything, Gavin. Everything. Actually, you know what's super cool about the spot we're at right now too?
What?
Is looking down this ridge, you get these really, really jagged peaks that lead you into the main peak, which is really cool. There's some spots over there where, the composition is nice from in that direction, but you don't quite get those super jagged peaks that, it has a little bit more drama in this area, I think. Is that good for your vlog?
That's what I was going to say. Let me talk you through this composition. So here we have, it's quite an obvious scene. I've centralized this epic spire with this gorgeous snaking line and this river that just goes all the way around it. Now, of course, ignore the Spasmo rocket there. What I've got to do with this shot, if you look at the sky, I like this blue patch here. Now, at the moment, the polarizer is set to a position that means I've got a lovely blue tint to the sky, and I don't have that blob. Now, see what happens when I turn the polarizer. Let's go all the way over here. I've got this ugly blob in the middle. But what it's done is it's revealed the river a little bit there. It's brought back a bit more of those highlights that are in the river. So unless I take the polarizer off, which I totally could do, and I might actually do, but I'm in kind of like a panic mode where I don't want to waste that time. It's best to, if you don't have that time, if you don't want to faff about, just take a shot with the polarizer in 2 different positions and you'll get what you need.
That was so good, Gavin.
Yeah, you're learning from a master right now, Michael. But, I mean, as a shot, as a composition, you can't go wrong. I mean, look at it. It's got gorgeous side light, which is hitting these peaks from the setting sun over there in the west. And that same side light is licking these lovely clouds and making them light up with majestic colour.
You're making me look bad with your terminology.
Licking? You've just got a word. You just got a word.
Came up with the light licking?
Yeah. Caressing. I should have said caressing, I think.
I don't even know what I said, but I know it wasn't that good.
Well, the light just keeps on delivering. It's getting better and better. I mean, look at this above my head. And then look at the gorgeous red tones that these spires are being painted by that setting sun. Quite majestic. What I'm doing now, because these clouds are lighting up and it's such a wide scene that even at 60mm horizontally, I can't get much of those clouds. It's kind of a thin strip.
Oh my God.
So I've switched to a vertical comp, which I actually like a bit better. if I feel a bit more adventurous with my time, I might just shoot a panorama, but I've got this little rock here in the way, so that's probably not going to work. Now if I move further up the ridge, oh well, that's not going to work. There's Michael Schoenblum. That's just,
Oh no.
yeah.
Oh no.
So I guess I'm stuck with this shot.
I have to admit, I was ecstatic to not only bear witness to this moment, but to capture it on a camera. Well, that was a privilege for sure. Now, I had to shoot 3 vertical frames and then stitch them together to make a panorama. And each frame was shot at 16mm on a full frame camera, so you can imagine that this is a really wide field of view that would be impossible to capture in a single frame. After a photographer's high like that, we had no idea how lucky we would get after the sun went down, so we set about planning the rest of the evening shoot.
Okay, so here we are at the viewpoint at Smith Rock, and I really want this whole ensemble, if you will, this whole arrangement of spectacular juiciness. I want that to be directly under the Milky Way, the core, or it doesn't have to be like perfectly straight, but I'd like it kind of over this ridge. That's the composition that I've got in mind. Now Mike seems to think it might be in a slightly different spot. You're thinking it's going to be further over to the west. Yeah. Oh God, I really hope I'm right. So to find out, I mean, we're not going to find out for sure until we try, until it's fully dark, but with photo pills we can at least get a good clue of where it lines up. So should we launch that and test it out?
Yeah, definitely. So we've got the moon setting at 12:30 a.m. So I think what would be nice is for us to shoot about 30 minutes of moonlight while we get that nice light on the rock, and then we'll wait until the moon sets to get the actual Milky Way. So we should be able to shoot the Milky Way all night. At first, when the moon is up, it'll be over here on the left side over the rock, which could look very beautiful, and then it's gonna glide across the sky and give us a really nice composition of it on the right side after the moon has actually set. Now if you want an extra layer of visibility here, check this out. Let's use the augmented reality, do a little shake, and of course it's better to do this when you do have service. So let's just look at that. So there's where the core is going to be at 1:30 a.m. to the right. Now if we scroll back, we can see that at about 11 p.m. the core is going to be just directly over those jagged peaks, and that is just going to look awesome. That's going to be kind of right before the moon sets, so the Milky Way is going to have a little bit of a blue tint to it, a little bit duller, but we've got a whole lot of time and a whole lot of light changes tonight, so it should be good. But this is just an amazing way of planning out all of your Milky Way shoots. Let's say you have a trip to Hawaii, and you've got a week in Hawaii and you're not sure where the Milky Way is going to be at each location. It's really good to use a combination of Google Earth to scout the terrain and directions, and then using photo pills to plan out all your shoots. And of course, also for sunset, sunrise, moon alignments. I mean, the possibilities here are endless for planning your shots.
By the way, we don't get paid anything for recommending photo pills. It's just a really good app.
So as we talked about earlier, we're here at Smith Rock still after sunset with the goal of shooting a Milky Way over Smith Rock for our Milky Way photography course. But the clouds came in, no Milky Way. Then the moon was super bright, no Milky Way. And we've waited hours and hours and hours, only to discover that now that the moon has set and the clouds have disappeared, we've got clear skies and we can see the Milky Way, the light pollution from Bend is just insane. And I don't know if it's even possible to do it. However, the consolation prize here is that during that period of cloud and with a really bright moon, we actually got this spectacular moon set. Well, my better shots were earlier when the moon was a bit higher,
but it had this effect where it dropped below these clouds and it painted these clouds in these amazing textures and shades. And we also, I got one frame, so way off in the distance towards Bend, there was lightning kicking off in those clouds that I was complaining about, and I got one frame. Now, I mean, there was some amazing lightning, and I missed most of them, but I got one frame with some lightning, so here is that shot. If you told me that I was going to capture this image after that epic sunset, I would not have believed you. And it just goes to show that perseverance really does pay off. By spending more time outside, you instantly increase your chances of capturing a magical moment like this. Now, I know that it's really difficult with a busy lifestyle and maybe you're holding down a full-time job and raising kids, but if you can somehow dedicate that time, you will eventually be there when the lightning strikes. So, how did I capture this image? Well, I basically just shot hundreds of 30-second exposures, and I really should have just taken the time out to shoot a time lapse with continuous shots, but I didn't dare risk missing the moment by spending 3 or 4 minutes setting up a time lapse. So, I just kept hitting that shutter and hoping for the best. Yeah, I mean, as a consolation prize, I was pretty happy with that. What about you?
Yeah, I was really stoked on the moonlight. I mean, you know, we didn't, neither of us were really fully anticipating enjoying the moonset that much. I think we were so focused on getting the Milky Way, but it's one of those things where spontaneously you just see what's happening, you see the light changing, and that ends up being what you enjoy the most, which I think that is definitely a special thing in landscape photography, for sure.
That's what it's all about. But you know, we'll keep shooting, we'll stick around for, well, that's it, the moon is gone now, so now is the best time to try and get some shots of the Milky Way. And if we can't because of that light pollution, well, then this just might turn into a tutorial on how to make a Milky Way composite.
I think, you know what, the light pollution isn't great, but I've shot the Milky Way in a decent amount of light pollution, and we should still see some formations in there. It's not going to be your crazy, super dramatic, epic color Milky Way, but it's still going to be there, and this landscape might be enough to kind of hold that composition together, just with how stunning the landscape is. And then you've got this complete vertical band of the Milky Way going up.
Well, let's give it a shot. Well, we did give it a shot. In fact, we gave it lots of shots, and we gave it a few more hours, but we did not get that Milky Way shot. In fact, that part of this shoot was a complete failure. And I think it's important that you also get to see my failures as well as my successes. I mean, lots and lots of failures can be kind of boring. I want to show you the successes, but you need to understand that I am not lucky all of the time. I mean, I got lucky that night with 3 good shots, especially with the moonset and the lightning, but the actual goal of what I went there to get, I totally failed, and that is common for me, believe it or not. So let me show you some raw files and explain this total failure, this aspect of the failed shoot. So this shot here is that lovely moonset with the lightning. That was great. I was very, very happy with that. And then this shot was taken a couple of hours later when the moon was just about to fully set. You can see the glow of it there over the horizon. And what I like about this shot is how this cloud in the distance kind of mimics the shape of the rocks here, but at this moment my heart was sinking because I can see the Milky Way in the distance, but it's so faint, not because of that moon on the edge of the horizon, but because of all of that light pollution that you can see coming from Bend there. And at that moment I thought, I don't know if this is going to work. And then here's the next shot after the moon had completely gone over the horizon. There's the galactic core, very, very clear, but you can hardly see anything on the horizon portion of the Milky Way because of that awful light pollution. At that point, I'd given up. I mean, that part of the shoot was a total failure. But as I said, I count myself extremely lucky to have got that lovely moonset shot. So let me talk you through how I put this shot together, and I'll show you a few raw files and try to explain the nightmare that was editing this image. It really was kind of like a Frankenstein's monster of an image to put together. So what you've got are all these different elements. You've got the moon, you've got the lightning, you've got the clouds, and then of course you've got the rocks and this lovely moonlight that's on them. So I'll show you all of the different exposures. So this one here, I took from this a lot of the light that you can see on the rocks. This was my main exposure for the actual rock portion of the image. But of course the sky was a complete wash on that one. So for the sky, I took parts from different exposures. So for this one, you can see that's the double fork of lightning there. And I actually lied. When I said that I only got one frame, I actually got 2 frames with lightning. So this one has the double fork, and I really like that moon star that you can see there. So I took the lightning and I took the moon star from this shot, and then in this shot here you can see that the moon doesn't have a star, and I think that's because I was shooting with an aperture of f2.8 for that one. On this one I was shooting with an aperture of f8. So what I took from this one was this lovely shape in the clouds. I love how it just kind of spreads across the frame. So I took that from that exposure, and then this exposure here, from this I took that single bolt of lightning you can see in the distance, and then this lovely bit of texture in the cloud there, and then cobbled all of those together, and this is the end result. And then add to that quite a bit of contrast adjustment, quite a bit of dodging and burning, and then a little bit of color enhancement, and actually, quite, believe it or not, quite a bit of desaturation, and then you've got the finished product. But I'll be honest, it was a bit of a nightmare to stitch. So there you go. I've shown you some raw files, I've shown you a success, and I've shown you a failure. So hopefully you enjoyed that, and if you did, please give it the old thumbs up, maybe subscribe to the channel, and post a comment and let me know what you thought. Okay, back to the video where Michael and I can say a proper goodbye. Introducing this is Michael Shaneblum, and I'm Gavin Hardcastle, and I just titted myself. I don't know why.
I'll just say some shit.
Shit's good.
Yeah.
So what are we going to show them on this course?
Oh my gosh, so many things. All of the things. Many different different values of things.
All right.
You got your Milky Mahoozits, and your Whatsama Starsits, and your Twilight Thingamajiggers. Dude, imagine you could see the stars, but instead of like little twinkly things in the sky, they're like giant time trails going across that beautiful horizon. It's something that you can't really put into words. So there was a bug on you. I didn't want you to get bit by the bug, so I went like that. I didn't mean to invade your personal space.
Oh no,
right
it's
now.
all right. Yeah.
Did I invade your personal space?
No, it's fine.
Sure, I didn't invade your personal space?
No.
You can talk to me if I invaded your personal space, and I could, apologize. I didn't mean to get up in your grill.
Tell you what, hiking around this place at night is a bit sketchful, because just look at this. This is a cliff edge. Well, that's like a 400-foot drop.
Probably more, actually.
Oh God.
Because I think we climbed.
Oh, that makes me twitchy.
We climbed more than 400 feet.
My sheriff's just twitching like a rabbit's whiskers.